Testing 1 2 1 2. Hello, and welcome back. Today is the second episode of Grooving with the J, and I am so sorry for the delay. Like, life has been lifing, and I'm still getting situated, as you can see from the back. But thank you for coming here today. I am Jeriel, but I go by Jay, and I just want to say one more time, thank you again for joining today, and I appreciate you. So today's topic, actually, before I even get in today's topic, I just wanted to kind of give an overview about what this podcast is going to be about. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the first podcast, but I am an artist, and I am also an advocate for mental health. I am working as a behavioral technician, interventionist, analysis, and I'm doing art therapy. So I really just want to emphasize on, although that is my career, I also want to make sure that that's not what this podcast is just going to be about, okay? I love to talk about mental health, and I love to talk about understanding different communication styles and how to do this and how to do that. But this is not a one-way park, okay? For me, if you know me, then you will know that this podcast, from my last episode, it's breaking out of my comfort zone. But I want to talk about everything. But to get there, I have to build my relationships with you all. But I just want to let it be known that, like, my heart is here, and I'm passionate, and whatever I talk about, it's going to be something that I'm interested in or I'm passionate about. And also, once I'm able to have built an audience, I'm obviously going to want to know what my supporters want to talk about. So I just wanted to throw that out there because there is no restrictions here, okay? So with that being said, I have an overview, of how I wanted to start this podcast, because this is my second episode. But today we're going to talk about self-care, because self-care is it's so limited, and people feel so restricted, and they feel like they can't. Honestly, what's crazy is that a lot of people don't even know what self-care is. So, I love this, right? So self-care is it's literally just the practice of taking one's own initiative into preserving or managing their health. And that goes for physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, etc., etc. That is self-care. Self-care is preserving yourself, okay? Look, I know it's so easy to want to give yourself to other people, or sometimes you feel like you've been drained from relationships, friendships, workships, whatever it is. But it's like, if you don't have that self-care, then you will crumble. And what I mean by crumble is you will deteriorate. Your health will deteriorate, your sleep, your appetite may be affected. So with that, it's like you have to set boundaries, right? And what are boundaries? Boundaries is knowing your limit, okay? It's knowing your limit and letting others know that is your limit. you have this barrier. If they are feeling some type of way and they know your boundaries, they're not going to cross that. You have to stick with your boundaries. You have to stay stern within your boundaries, because it's self-worth and it's self-respect and it's self-love. And if you don't have these attributes, we have someone joining us today, but let's disregard him because he's not the topic. And if you don't have these little things, if you don't have the self-respect, the self-worth, I mean, how will anyone respect you, right? Boundaries. You gotta know what's your limit, and you have to know what you're capable of tolerating. And this goes with your self-care, because unfortunately, as humans, we like to just keep taking on until we burst. We get sick. We get tired of a job. We get tired of a relationship. We get tired of being in the same location. We just freak out. If there is time within that situation to just think about the next steps, which coincides with self-care, because when you have self-care, you're thinking about your predicament. You're thinking about how you can make yourself better. You're thinking about what is healthy for you and what's not healthy for you. The boundaries are restrictive. You are cautious of what feels good for you and what doesn't feel good for you. And some people could look as boundaries as like, oh, they're cocky. No. Never look at boundaries as if you're cocky or conceited or anything like that. You are preserving your health, your mental health, because your mental health and your physical health, they go hand in hand, okay? And this is speaking from experience, okay? I lost my dad in 2018. And his health decline was like, it was mind-blowing. It went from a stroke to this, to dementia. We don't know how much time we have on this earth. So when I say it's crucial to preserve your self-care, you have to. And what does preserving your self-care looks like? Other than setting boundaries, right? It looks like doing things that you're passionate about. It's being around loved ones. It's doing things that make you feel happy. It's doing things that make you feel good, that are positive. Because obviously we live in a time where it's very easy to fall into these I don't know. I don't know how to say this without getting lost on my own. But to fall into these like addictive habits, these addictive negative habits, these negative attributes that are not gonna help us in the longevity. They're not gonna help us in the future. They might feel like 3 steps forward, but it's really 10 steps backwards. So it's like self-care. Self-care is finding time to cater to yourself. To cater to yourself and to build with yourself. How can you go from feeling this way to feeling better? What can you do? And also, it's so sporadic, right? The range is, the spectrum just kind of doesn't end, because there are so many different type of personalities, and they're just I mean, there are over 7 billion of us living on this planet. So that's 7 different like it can get overwhelming and overstimulating, but it's really finding what works for you, right? And self-care goes such a long way, because it's like taking the first step to self-care is setting that first boundary. It's letting people know that you are actually putting your health first, okay? And it might seem irritating to the others at first, but it'll eventually become inspiring, you know? When you're able to protect your mental health and your physical space and your energy and know what you can give that to, you save so much time on irrelevant situations, on irrelevant conversations that just don't mean anything, because you know where you are, you know? So, with that being said, it's kind of just like you gotta take into initiative that everyone is obviously different, right? Everyone processes everything different. But with self-care, that's a common denominator that everyone should have, because we're all human. We all have brains. We all have, I mean, like, even with mobility, like, you know, there's portions of our body that we still have. So, like, regardless, we're still human. We're still feeling some type of emotion. And for those that can communicate it, and for those that struggle with it, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, how much can you embrace? Like, you got to be able to embrace all of this, because, like, at the end of the day, it's life, it's self-care. So knowing those boundaries and knowing your restrictions, I mean, it's only going to help you. But with that also being said, I also really wanted to talk about self-love, okay? And I can't refer too deep into the situation because of violations and rules, you know, that I've signed, because that's what I do. But it's self-love, okay? Self-love really starts with childhood. Everything starts with childhood. And if children are feeling like they can't express themselves, and they don't feel comfortable in their own body, then there's a problem, okay? There's a problem. There's no reason why young little kids, adolescents, should feel like they hate themselves. And with this being said, it's a mental health, it's a self-care, it's a self-love situation, because when people feel supported in their environment, if they don't get it genetically, if they feel supportive and in their environment, they can thrive. If they don't feel supportive in their environment, then there's going to be a real stagnant hold on what they're capable of, or what they want to do, what they can do. There's going to be so many insecurities. And it's like, self-care should really start with childhood, because children experience life just like adults do, right? Different spectrums. The only difference is that, children are children, adults are adults. Children can't express their emotions the way that adults can. And with that being said, there is like this space, there is like this complete misunderstanding on why people are struggling so hard in their adulthood. Okay? A lot of the times, it's mostly their childhood. So, self-care goes a really long way. It's really about protecting and preserving your health, setting boundaries, and ensuring that you feel comfortable in your space, okay? Because life is so short, and if you don't have to be sure of your next situation, okay? We don't know. And depending on what you believe in, it's going to always be different, right? But what I say is, if you can embrace love and reflect and mirror love genuinely, genuinely, no spite. There's no spite. We all have our differences as humans, but it's one of those things where the common denominator is we all have brains, we all have hearts, we all have souls, okay? And that is more than enough similarities to connect you with someone. Self-care. Preserving and maintaining your health. Setting boundaries. Finding what brings you joy. Finding what brings you happiness. And understanding that self-care itself is a journey. It's not one of those things that you can self-care every day. No, humans are struggling. People are struggling. So if you're able to get a chance, if you're able to get a moment for yourself, then embrace that and acknowledge your growth, because from your childhood to now, it wasn't easy. And if it was easy, kudos to you. And that right there, is acknowledgement, and I'm happy for you. And honestly, that's the goal. So we all want to be able to have that in common, in comparison. But for a lot of people, their childhood is rough, and they don't know about self-care. They don't know about boundaries. They don't know about communication styles. They don't understand that their priorities is what is most important because of, their family's obligations and etc. So, yeah, I really just wanted to get this second episode out. Like I said, I'm still getting situated with my new apartment, going through jobs, etc., etc. And one thing too is that I'm always going to be honest. Always going to be honest. And right now I'm still getting situated with my apartment. I'm going through different jobs. I actually just finalized the job that I wanted. So hopefully I could get back into I could get into like a consistent schedule with uploading my podcast. But this is something that I really want to do. This is something I'm really passionate about. I really want to be able to connect with people. And whether or not be physically, whether I see you, you see me, I want to be able to connect with people all over. Because I feel like there's so much I can learn. I feel like there's so much that people can learn. And as humans, we should be able to share. So we should be able to share our connections and experiences, you know. And mental health and art are two things that I live for. It's my passion. It's my career. I'm a painter. And I really just want to be able to connect and build. And like, I want to remind people that like self-care should not be restricted. You shouldn't feel like you have to pay for self-care. You shouldn't feel like you have to do on all of these extraordinary, extravagant things for self-care. Self-care can literally be you putting your phone on silent. It can literally be you taking a shower. It could be you just being outside in the sun and just embracing that vitamin D. There are no rules when it comes to the self-care, okay? And when I mean no rules, I mean if it's what makes you happy and it's a genuine positive reaction, then there are no rules, because everyone deserves to find their safe space and feel comfortable, especially for those that didn't have it in childhood. But this is generalized. Everyone deserves to find their safe space and their comfort space and to feel comfortable enough to thrive. No restrictions, no judgments. They can be themselves. And I think I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm just very grateful. Y'all, my sister gave me this shirt. For example, boundaries. It says, I came, I saw, I left early. If things don't feel good to you, leave. If you have the opportunity to leave, leave. If you can't leave because of something, seek help. Try to seek help. Life is too short. Life is too short. And everyone should be able to find their own joy and happiness in life. Like, it's so easy to fall down the depression rabbit hole. But why can't we all be climbing up on the mountain of peace and joy, you know? So, with that being said, I'm sending you guys and gals and everyone, my love, truthfully and peacefully and just wholeheartedly. Thank you for tuning in and for listening, and it just really means a lot to me. And I really can't wait to have the 3rd episode here. Like I said, we are going to be talking about everything, but mental health is priority because I want to make sure that everyone is feeling okay. Okay? If you come across me, I want to make sure you're feeling okay. So that's the common denominator. Everything else is going to fall onto the platter. But I'm just so thrilled. I'm so grateful. I'm thankful. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in, and for those of you who follow me after, or who send it and forward it. Thank you for being here, part of my journey. You know, this was Groovin' with Jay. I'm Jeriel, and I'll see you guys soon. And gals, I'll see you beautiful, lovely humans soon.